Hello and welcome to another episode of Sprite Academy. It's been a long time since I've uploaded anything, so I'm really excited for today, and we're going to be working on different types of shading. Let's get started. So we are going to start our lesson today by looking at some different shading techniques. So the first one that we're going to look at is hatching. Then after that, we're going to be looking at cross-hatching. Then after that, we are going to look at contour lines. And then two more we're going to be looking at. So we're going to be looking at stippling, which is always a fun one. And then finally, scumbling or scribbling. Alright, so we're going to start now with looking at hatching. So hatching is super simple. It's basically just using parallel lines, like so, to create our shading effect. So basically when we want our shading to be dark, we're going to use lots of close lines really close together like this. And when we want our shading to be light, we're going to have our lines further apart like this. So I'll have a go now, and I'd love you guys to do this with me as I'm drawing. I might mess it up and do a terrible job, because I'm only taking one take, hopefully, so that will be funny, and that's okay. And you might mess it up too, and that's okay. So I'm going to use this sphere here, and I'd love you guys to either look at the sphere on my page or find something spherical in your own homes that you can use to copy, and practice using this technique. Even if it's not a sphere and it's some sort of cylinder or tin, that's okay too. So I'm just going to start off by creating a vaguely circular shape. Okay, that'll do. It's not perfect. And I'm going to do mine at about a 45-degree angle. You don't have to do yours at a 45-degree angle, it's totally up to you. So I'm starting with the darkest part here. You can potentially hear that aeroplane going over my house right now. Now you guys can't see the top of my sphere, but it does get quite dark around there. And you'll see I'm mostly working with about 3 values here. Maybe 4. So we've got this, where's my finger here? This dark part of the sphere here, then sort of a lighter part here, then a lighter part again here, and then a really light part here. So those are the 4 values that we're going to mostly be working with here. So here I'm drawing the second lightest part around this area, and then our lightest part in the middle here we've got no lines, so I'm going to leave that completely blank. So I'm just going to work on filling that in a little bit, making it look more realistic. And with doing just straight hatching, it is going to be difficult to make any object look circular, because we're not sort of able to express that circular nature of it with our lines. So that may influence your choice of what your favorite sort of shading is. Of course, hatching can be very beautiful, and it often looks good when it's done very precisely. So if you're much more of a precise drawer, hatching might be for you. I'm not a very precise drawer, so this will probably be the worst of the ones which I do today, but that's okay. We just want to get the idea for now. I'm also doing it very quickly. Alright, I think that will do for now. Obviously not perfect, but hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea of what hatching looks like. Now what we're going to look at next is cross-hatching. And cross-hatching is sort of the obvious next step from hatching. And a lot of people will combine hatching and cross-hatching in their drawing. So that's something that you might like to consider doing too. Actually, before I start, I don't actually have an eraser with me, so I'm just going to draw over the top. Before I start with my sphere, I'm just going to show you generally what cross-hatching looks like. So much like hatching, our light cross-hatching is just like hatching, but we're going to draw our lines in two directions. Then, when we want our lines to get darker, and we want to create a darker value, we're going to make our lines much closer together like this. This. Now, one thing that I never really realized before about cross-hatching, and a reason that I've always avoided cross-hatching because I could never make it look good, is that cross-hatching doesn't have to just go in two directions. So we can start to bring in some maybe vertical lines over the top, and some horizontal lines. So we can draw our hatches in as many directions as we like. It doesn't just have to be a cross, which was what I always thought and had a lot of difficulty. And I think the problem that we get when our lines are just like these ones is it starts to look very monotonous. So I definitely encourage you to sort of break up that monotony, to bring in maybe just a couple of extra lines as well, to make it look more interesting and random, which is, in my opinion, probably going to make it look more realistic and a bit less boring and monotonous. So have a go with me as I now draw this sphere, and have a go at drawing a spherical object of your own, or even any object, doesn't matter if it's not spherical. Just have a practice at trying to use this. And before you start, I'd also like you to just draw up a little bit of a value chart, looking at what the darkest and lightest points of your object are. So we may not need that many. So we've got a really dark sort of area around here, so I'll draw that on this side. It's going to be pretty much nearly black. Then we've got some more mid-tones coming around here. Not quite mid-tones yet, still quite dark. And then we've got, starting to get mid-tones probably through the middle here. This bit that to me is looking a bit bluer. I don't know if that comes through on the camera. Then we've got sort of this more reddish. It's what it's looking like to me, but again, I don't know if you can see that colour coming around that circle bit there. So we can represent it like that. And then finally we've got pretty much white in the middle. So just pretend I don't have that little line there. This whole area here is going to be pretty much white. So we'll have a go now at trying to draw that. Just draw along with me, or if you're watching this and not drawing with me, you might want to skip until I'm finished. This might take me a little while. You might also want to think of making sure you've got a light source on whatever object you're drawing. So you might like to use a phone light or a lamp to create a light source. So we've got a really clear light side and dark side, like you can see we have here. I've got that just because I've got a wall on this side and not a wall on this side. The sun's coming through this side, so I've just got natural lighting. But yeah, try when you're practicing to have that light source so you can see that clear difference between dark and light. Pencil's needing a bit of a sharpen. Hello, pencil sharpening. Oops, I probably shouldn't have done that on the page. I'm liking the look of this one a lot more than my hatching. I'm starting to bring in some lines in some other directions now to take away that more monotonous look. Alright. Okay, as you can see, we probably need some more mid-tones coming in here. We've got very dark and very light, but we've sort of missed out a lot of those mid-tones. It's looking a bit better. And you'll see I'm not keeping the same direction with all my lines. And that's totally okay. I definitely would encourage that even. Alright, I'm getting pretty happy with the look of this. I'm just going to draw some lines around like this to give that kind of circle in the middle effect. And I might just do a few of them coming out around. Alright, I'm feeling pretty happy with that. Alright, so now, let's look at my reference page. We're moving on to contouring, which I'm very excited about. This is one of my favorite ways of shading, and this is definitely the way that I naturally go towards. So I hope you guys love it too. So contouring is basically the same idea as cross-hatching, except we've got curved lines and we're going to follow the curve of the object that we're drawing. So we're still going to sort of be crossing lines over the top of each other, but sort of using that curve of the object to do that. So I can't really demonstrate with you off the sphere because you need the sphere for me to show you the curve. So once again though, I'll just draw up a bit of a chart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the darkest here. I encourage you to also be drawing up these charts when you are doing your practices as well, just to make sure that you're getting all those tones in your drawing. So you can see the squares, I can't really contour inside them very well. Alright, my second and third one are looking like pretty much the exact same shade, so let's fix that up a bit. Okay, there we go, that's better. Alright, so let's get drawing this sphere. I love contouring because I find it a very expressive way of drawing a shape by following the form. So I'm just going to follow that shape of the sphere here, coming around like this. So you can see these two directions that I'm drawing. I've got one direction coming down like this and one direction coming up like this. Obviously there's sort of infinite amounts of curves on a sphere, so we've got to choose some of those curves to draw. But just sort of go with your instinct in the curves that you can see. I feel like I can definitely see curves coming around like this. I think there's actually lines in the polystyrene ball that are coming around like this, which I'm seeing and drawing. You might of course also like to pause the video so you can put in a little bit more time and effort than what I am in this quick demonstration. Also, hello little fly. I don't know if you guys heard the fly that just came buzzing past. So as you can see, I'm being a lot looser with my lines here. It's very expressive. Beautiful. So yes, if you're a much more intuitive artist like I am, this is probably more likely to be the shading method for you. Although if you're a bit more detailed and particular and focusing on details, which is definitely not me. I love details, but I don't like being careful. Then probably the hatching or cross-hatching is going to be better for you. Alright, I'm liking the look of this sphere. It looks a little bit funny on the camera because the camera is slightly tilted, but I promise you in real life it looks more like an actual circle. There we go, that's a bit better. Alright, so the next technique that we are going to look at is scumbling or scribbling. So, I'll give you a bit of a demonstration first of all, although it shouldn't need one. Again, this is a very expressive form and can work very well it's basically where you're just creating little scribbles in whichever direction you like to create your shading. So some lighter scumbling might look like what I've just drawn there, and some darker scumbling is going to look like this. Having much closer together scribbles. Alright, so once again I am going to draw up my little value chart with 5 sections in it. Starting with some darker scumbling here. A bit lighter here. And lighter again. There we go. So let's once again attempt to draw something that looks vaguely circular. You might, hopefully you've already found an object to draw by now, but if you haven't, even things like vases can be excellent. I've got a vase in front of me that's really good, but if I point my camera towards it, I'll probably ruin my setup, so I won't do that. Oops, that's not scumbling. I just went straight into contouring because that's my natural way of shading. So okay, let's do some scumbling around the dark areas at the sides here. Trying to sort of make your lines as random as possible is a good thing here. I sort of fell into the trap of doing ones that just look like that, which is going to look a little bit monotonous. We want our lines to be a bit more random. Need a bit of a sharpen. Oh wow, look at the difference that sharpen has made. Oh my goodness. Always try and keep your pencil sharp. I always forget to do that. It's not very good practice. And of course, sharpening with a blade, if you have one, is better than a sharpener. Alas, I do not have one. Alright, cool. I feel like these scribbles that I've done around here, I started concentrating on making it a bit more random, and they're looking much better than the very circular ones here, which are looking very monotonous, and I'm not a fan, so I'm going to sort of try and go over the top of them. Cool, I'm liking this one. I'm feeling good about that. Excellent. It's probably my favourite one so far. And obviously, of course, once you're done, always check your value chart, whether you've kept to it. I feel like this is pretty well representing that. These areas are well representing here. This is sort of representing that area, and this is kind of a bit closer to our middle bit here. Alright, beautiful. You might even want to include some contouring into your scumbling, so you might even want to just do a few lines that are going around the shape of that sphere. You're always free to combine any of these methods of shading wherever you feel like it will work, so never feel confined to just using one form of shading. Woo, cool, feeling good about that. Now we are going to move on to, oh, we missed stippling, so we'll do stippling now. And for this one is very, very slow. I do a lot of work with pen and ink, and stippling is my favourite way of shading. It creates an absolutely beautiful effect. It doesn't work as well with pencil, although it's still possible. But yeah, we'll give it a go. So I'll show you, it'll be a bit hard to see, because stippling is basically lots of little dots. So if we're stippling in a dark way, we're going to have lots of little dots close together, like this. It's very hard to see. Can I zoom? Oh, there we go. I can zoom, but it doesn't want to focus. Alright, I'll zoom out again. Well, that was a fun experiment. Alright, and that's what lighter stippling is going to look like, although you may not be able to see that as well. Alright, so what I'll get you to do now is draw a very small circle, because stippling takes a very long time, so if you draw a big circle, the same size as the previous ones. Some beautiful cockatoo noises there that I hope you're all enjoying. Hopefully you can hear me over the top of them. There's a massive cockatoo flock flying over my house right now. Alright, so yeah, draw a really small circle for your stippling, because otherwise you'll be here for hours, because it's super slow. And yeah, we'll have a go at using that to shade in our sphere or our... I keep forgetting you're not all using circles, so you may have other shapes. I hope those cockatoos aren't hurting your ears, but they're very beautiful. You can have a lot more control, I think, with stippling as well. It's very easy to sort of be quite particular about where's dark and light. You can start very light and then bring the darkness in afterwards. But it does take forever. Who needs music when you've got cockatoos, hey? Alright, probably want some more dark in there. I also probably should have drawn up my values chart, but that was going to take way too long, so I skipped that. Alright, yay, I'm liking the look of this. Obviously you guys can spend a lot more time putting more effort into this. But that is where we will leave this little shading tutorial. So we learnt hatching, cross-hatching, contouring, contour lines, scumbling and stippling. So be proud of your... Wow. Loud cockatoo. Be proud of yourself. You did an amazing job today, and please send me any of the pictures you've drawn from today. And what I would like to challenge you to do is take the skills you've learnt in this shading today and use that to draw something else that you want to draw. So that might be a still life, it might be a portrait that you want to copy, it might be a landscape, and try and maybe include some of the different shading techniques we've learnt today in it, or you might have just loved one of the techniques we used today and choose to use that for the whole picture. I'd love to see what your creations are, so please send them to me at the email address on the screen. Thanks so much, guys, for watching. It means the world to me. I'll see you next time. Bye.